What's up, friends? Welcome into Rock Chalk Sports here on KansasNation.com. That's the face of Dan Courtwright. I am Sean Kellerman. Thanks for joining us here on ESPN Kansas City and KansasNation.com. A little KU baseball flair for you today. We didn't call each other, but both have KU baseball caps.
Great minds think alike. We also wore almost the exact same other polo today.
We did, so yes. More on that here in a second because we have a story on that front. We're in each other's heads.
I told him, I said one of us is going to have to change because it's embarrassing for one of us. You know, one of us looked way better in that shirt, and I didn't want to make you feel bad.
We had to change so that
it's like in those old magazines, like who wore it better? It's like obviously.
Yes. You've been in many magazines before, haven't you?
Of course. Yes.
Best of Emporia State football, I think.
Yes, there's a magazine dedicated to only fourth-string tight ends, which is great.
Yes, you're on the cover of that one.
Yes,
I know that for sure.
I am.
Hey, we're hearing from DK McDonald here in the opening segment, KU's defensive coordinator. Another great performance. You know, you look at the Mizzou game from a stats perspective. Yeah, Mizzou scored 42. And they got nearly 600 yards, but that's looking like an anomaly. A good SEC offense that played like an A-plus type offense. They had a really good day against KU's defense, who couldn't get off the field on 3rd and 4th down. Otherwise, Dan, defensively for Kansas, Fresno scored 7, Wagner scored 7, West Virginia scored 10. It's been really impressive, especially since this is his first year officially.
I would say that 10 is even a little bit exaggerated too, because that last touchdown came towards the end of the game. But yeah,
I thought you were going to continue.
I thought you were going.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We're going to hear from DK McDonald. Folks. Yeah, live radio, live video. I'm over here thinking, man, he's about to say something really impressive. After we hear from DK McDonald, we're going to hear from KU wide receiver Levi Wentz next segment. Levi Wentz, a 41-yard touchdown catch. Has there ever been anybody as open as Levi Wentz was on that catch?
No, I asked him about it.
And that was a 4th down.
I know. I asked him about it too. We're going to hear from him. I said, what did you see? And he was like, it's a play we've ran in practice. And he said, granted, he's never been that wide open before, so he doesn't know what happened, what kind of coverage they were in, whose assignment was missed, but essentially a walk-in touchdown for like 30 yards for him. It was a 41-yarder, but he went 30 yards that anybody within the same zip code as him. So it's going to be exciting to hear from Levi Wentz.
Yeah, that got the scoring started in KU's win on Saturday. And then at 4:40, a very special guest. You might know him by the name of Henry Greenstein, KUSports.com and the Lawrence Journal-World.
Is he the one from California?
Fresh off the airport.
You're kidding.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Henry's going to join the show as he does every Wednesday.
Hopefully they let him carry on his surfboard.
Longboard, I think it was.
Oh, was his longboard? Okay,
yes.
yeah. Surfboard, he had to check.
He is the most California guy of anybody I've known.
Super
and
Californian.
It just completely makes sense that he hails from Orange County. 5 o'clock hour, the KU Mailbag segment. Some great stuff from our fans. Find us on Twitter at the Kansas Nation. Any particular questions that you think we need to highlight here in previewing that?
Yes. Somebody said, how many bananas is too many bananas?
For what? Just in general?
That's the whole question.
Hey,
that's
food questions. We're here for it.
I love the question. Keep them coming. Send us on Twitter. By the people, for the people, KU Mailbag. Find us on Twitter, Facebook, wherever you can. Keep on sending those questions. We love to hear from you. And they don't even have to be about KU athletics. They can be about anything, right? Like food, dating advice. I mean, anything you can put your mind to.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we're also going to hear from Justice Finkley, KU's defensive end, who had one of his better games. Interesting, Finkley, a guy who was named a captain before the season. Of course, this is his first year in the program since coming over from Texas. Haven't heard his name quite as much, but we're starting to. A little bit of momentum from an individual side of things there with Justice Finkley, and obviously a great guy to talk to. We're going to hear from him. We're also going to hear from some KU soccer players, Dan.
That's right.
We talked about this yesterday. 7-0-2, the KU soccer program. 9 games without taking a defeat. That's the longest to start a season in program history. Really impressive win in Stillwater last Thursday. And, of course, coming up this Thursday, tomorrow, is the home opener in terms of conference play as Baylor comes to town.
That's right. Baylor also a really good program too. But Kansas, they're off to the hottest start in program history in the last 25 years. So really a testament to them. And it was really exciting to hear from them, as well as Coach Nate Lee, which we're going to hear from later on in the week. Also some news on Carolyn Castans, which we will get to a little bit after DK McDonald, but she was named Big 12 Defensive Player of the Week. So really exciting stuff for this Kansas soccer girls squad.
Well, we're going to hear from DK McDonald, and after that, Dan is going to remember what what he was going to say before our little pause in programming there. Maybe it'll come to you, or you were just
I
done
guess
talking.
so.
You were just
Segues
done
are
talking.
weird. I don't know how to, whatever. We've been
DK
doing this for a while.
McDonald, KU's defensive coordinator, a lot to be proud of through the first third of this season. Let's hear everything he said to reporters yesterday.
They're good at every level. They got a tremendous quarterback who can run and throw, which is going to really be a big challenge for us. Their offensive line is very strong. They do a good job with moving and blocking and moving people, which you don't see a lot in college football nowadays. And they got wide receivers who can run. They got some bigger guys who can win some 50-50. So we're going to have to be ready on all three levels, ready to go. It's a huge challenge. And not just that, Coach Satterfield is, a really good play caller, somebody I always admired as a play caller. And so it's going to be a challenge for all of us, coaches and players.
DK, how much did you guys emphasize physicality, hitting, tackling, obviously, but the first two mostly physicality during that bye week, and how pleased were you with it, how it looked on Saturday?
We've always emphasized that, playing fast, physical for each other. That hasn't changed since day one, since I got here. So it just kind of showed itself a little more, and that's how it should be. As you continue to work on it, you should get better at it, and that's what we did. Really proud of our guys, how they played fast, physical, and for each other. And we just doubled down on what we believed on in the bye week and just got better on it and look to improve. We got a ways to go in all three of those categories. And so hopefully we continue to grow this week.
You mentioned you admire Satterfield as a play caller. What about him did you look up to or like?
I've known of him for a lot of years. Him and Coach Campbell were really good friends. They worked together at Toledo. And so I just always admire that, he's kind of off script. He's really creative. He knows how to get the ball to his playmakers. And, and that's the signs of a great coach. And plus those guys play very, very hard, and they can run the ball, they can pass. They kind of do things on their own terms, and that's what good offenses do.
You guys did a good job of limiting Bo Prabula at Missouri with his legs. What did you guys do there, and what do you feel like can translate against a guy like Scoresby?
Kind of different offenses, so, you're going to have to do some different things there to help out. And, it's going to be everybody. Defensive line got to make sure they're rushing the proper way. Linebackers got to have good eyes when we're playing zone coverage. Everybody got to see the quarterback and be ready to go. But it's a total team effort to try to stop a guy like that, just like it was trying to stop a guy like Bo.
Go ahead, Gary.
What was it like? It looked like Dean Miller kind of came back to some form there. What was it like seeing him?
It's always exciting to see Dean. Most importantly, I'm just proud of the way he's been working, and now he got to pay off in that game. And hopefully we're going to see the best of Dean Miller from here on out. But when you're coming back from injury, sometimes it's just hard to get back. He missed a lot of reps in fall camp and just kind of set him back, and now he's kind of getting back. And, we got a lot of depth, which is great, and Leroy really stepped in great and continued to play well for us. And, on the other side there, we got Fink and we got Alex Bray, playing at a high level too. So we're really happy with our depth and guys able to step in and do things, as well as Dak Brinkley, who was a little banged up, and now he's back ready to go this week. So I'm excited about those 5 guys.
This week in particular, how do you feel about where you guys are at safety, where some guys have been banged up and Devin Dye's kind of missed the first half?
Yeah, that's unfortunate, just with Devin Dye not being able to be there. But, once again, it's just going to test your depth, and guys got to step in and be ready to play. Doesn't matter. Cincinnati don't care. They're going to go out there and try to do what they do. So we got to make sure our guys are ready to go, which they will be. Coach Shelby's doing a great job with that back end, along with Coach Burkett and JKP. So those guys will be ready to go. I'm excited to see them step up to the challenge.
Hey, with John, he's all over the place right now. He's playing fast. And, is that just a guy being more comfortable than he has been? You kind of talked about that in camp, but are you seeing that on game days now too?
Yeah, you're just you're happy anytime kids start to grow, and that's what it should be. We're a developmental program, and he's just one of the guys who's starting to develop. He's getting comfortable in the defense, comfortable in his role in the defense. When people are comfortable, they play a lot faster, and when it's simple for them, they're playing fast. So I'm just really happy for him. Coach Simpson's doing a hell of a job, with that group, and he's really come along and giving us somebody to help out Bengali, there also. So once again, it just kind of speaks to the depth and the coaching and the development those guys are getting here, and it's a credit to John, because he's in here constantly growing as a person and is showing up on the field too. That's exciting.
What did you see from Jalen Dye in his action on Saturday?
Jalen Dye?
Yeah.
Did a good job. You talking about Devin or?
No, because Jalen comes in after that and ends up forcing a fumble.
Oh, well, he came in and played well. Came in and did just what we expected of him. He's another guy who's been working really hard, but he had to pay off for playing, and now he had to pay off for playing time. And So just excited, and his role is going to increase this week. And so really excited to see what he's doing out there. But I'm really proud of just him working, his attitude. Nowadays when kids are working hard but not getting the reward of playing, they pout, they complain, they whine. No different than some adults. But he just kept working, kept his head down, and he eventually got his payoff. On Saturday, and like I said, it's going to get increased this Saturday.
Say Gibbs' versatility, how does that help you guys out with him? Getting back healthy and getting it.
Yeah, it's always great to have another cover guy out there, especially in the Big 12. Just to have a guy who can cover, and that's what he helps us with. He's a good blitzer. He's a strong tackler, and so his versatility is really helping us out a lot on the back end. And then now that we're getting healthy, our depth is starting to show there at the cornerback position, nickel, whatever you want to call it.
How about the interior up front? Not seeing Blake and Marcus get some action, get their name called.
Yeah, Blake's been doing good all year. He's really been just a part of that group. And Marcus is somebody who's growing. You talk about John being a young guy. I think Marcus is kind of next on that list as a young guy who's growing, doing a good job. The good thing about him, he has such great leadership in his room. So all he has to do is get in the flow of the leadership and keep going. But he's worked hard. He's got stronger. We really challenged him over the summer that he has to get stronger. And, man, he really took that and really went and worked hard. So just proud of the kid on what he's done and how he's added another guy to that group that can come in and rotate.
Obviously, you mentioned the ability of Sorsby has. Does that change up anything at practice? Are you guys doing anything different for quarterback?
The great thing is that, we got some athletic quarterbacks, so that really helps us out. David has done a really good job for us, as a scout team, but it's really just him being who he is. He's an athletic guy, so that's really fun. And, most of our quarterbacks can run around and kind of do what he does now. He can sling that ball at such a high level that, that's going to be tough to really duplicate in practice. But it's good to have a guy who can move around and trying to get the D lineman, keep him in the pocket, linebackers keep him in the pocket. So that's been a good part of practice to try to get a guy who can emulate what he does.
You worked with Cincinnati's DC for many years. How would you describe him as a coach and what he can do now leading his own defense?
Oh, you're kind of seeing. I think they're playing great defense. I haven't a chance to really watch them, honestly. But I imagine they're playing great defense. They're playing hard. He was an excellent linebacker coach for us at Iowa State. Had some guys in the NFL. Had a whole bunch of all-conference guys. Defensive Player of the Year. So he's a tremendous coach. But more importantly, Tyson's a tremendous person, and he's a great friend of mine. We speak often. Not this week, but we speak often, and I'm just really proud and happy for him and his family that he got this opportunity to really showcase, his skills of being a leader as a defensive coordinator. So I can't wait to see him on Saturday and give him a big hug and go from there.
Anything else for Coach McDonald?
That's KU defensive coordinator DK McDonald from a little bit earlier in the week. Not surprising, Dan, a couple questions about Brendan Sorsby. He's been really impressive. You look at Cincinnati as a whole this year, 2-1. They lost that Arrowhead game to Nebraska 20-17. And Sorsby was actually not very good in that one. He had no issues against lesser opponents. Bowling Green, not very good, but they're in the MAC, so a respectable program. And then a 70-0 game against Northwestern State. What have you seen so far out of Sorsby? Because he seems like he's going to be one of the best quarterbacks Kansas faces this year.
I mean, like you said, right? The stats seem a little bit inflated just because he hasn't played a lot of good teams. And then everybody goes, oh, yeah, but he had those 2 great games against Bowling Green and Northwestern State. But you look at the Nebraska game, he did not have a great game, right? That was their only test of the year so far, and they still wound up losing. So that tells you something, right? Going up against a Big 12 caliber defense in Kansas, especially with some guys who are really starting to emerge, like Justice Finkley, like Dean Miller, right? Like Leroy Harris, like some of those guys in that second line of defense with Trey Lathan. If Bengali Kamara comes back and he's healthy, John has taken a big step up. I think that Kansas is going to do a really good job. And now that is obviously we have seen it, right? We've seen him be able to do it on his legs. Brendan Sorsby is a great running threat at quarterback. He can still do it through the air. But I think once you get him rattled, get him a ton of pressure and keep him not allowing him to get that edge, I guess is one way to say it, then I think you should be able to do a relatively good job of that. Because to me, I think Bo Pribula was a much better quarterback than Brendan Sorsby, and Kansas did an excellent job at containing Bo Pribula.
They did, and Pribula, to his credit, beat Kansas with his arm, with a
Yes.
lot of help from his running backs, a lot of help from his receivers and all that. But KU, to your point, did do well. That was one of our keys going into that one. And one of the reasons I think Kansas got off to that good start is Prbula was not able to beat them with their legs. And that's the number one nightmare that KU fans had to deal with, thinking back to 2024, was people like Garrett Green and like Sam Levitt, for instance, beating
Even the Lindenwood.
Yeah, beating Kansas with their legs. And certainly Matthew Sluka, if you remember that name, UNLV, who transferred out. He was another guy who he was kind of like a Josh Allen type build. He transferred to somewhere that wasn't as – where was it? I was just looking at that the other day.
He got some money.
Yeah, and I don't know if he's still it wasn't a big program as I expected. James Madison, JMU. So yeah, we'll keep an eye on Matthew Sluka. But point is, Sorsby is going to be that type of guy to where he can beat you outside the pocket if you let him. Going back to what he's done this season, and we're going to ask, of course, Greeny, and we'll ask Brian Haney a little bit later in this week their thoughts on that, because it's a little bit of a different type of talent than Nico Marchiol brought. It's closer to the Prbula side of things than the Marchiol. Sorsby against Nebraska, 13 of 25 for 69 yards in that game. 69 passing yards, 1 interception, and then on the ground, Sorsby 13 carries, 96 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Not very often you see a quarterback go the entire time and has more rushing yards than passing yards. That was the situation with Sorsby. So he got his first couple rushing touchdowns in the game against Nebraska. Then lesser opponents, admittedly, his numbers throwing the ball after the, I don't know, I would say the decision had been made that Sorsby was more of a run-first quarterback. Well, he's 17 of 24 against Bowling Green, 333 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Also was Cincy's leading rusher with 40 rushing yards. And again, you see that 17 completions for 333 yards, a little bit of broken play situations, I would imagine. And then you look, and obviously against Northwestern State, a team who probably shouldn't have even been on the schedule for Cincinnati, 15 of 15 was Sorsby, 253 yards and 5 touchdowns. That's beyond video game numbers. Additionally, he ran for 23 yards and another touchdown. So that's 12 touchdowns he's accounted for. But we talk about this a lot when discussing opposing teams, and whether it's basketball and we're talking about a point guard, football we're talking about a quarterback, we say, well, he's the head of the snake, right? Got to take care of the head of the snake. Well, this is an enlarged head of a snake, because Sorsby, like I said earlier in this week, if he plays poorly, Kansas is going to win this game. And that's going to be key. If he's even average, Kansas should win this game. They do have some other talented running backs. Obviously, one of their top receivers is Jeff Caldwell, former Lindenwood legend, who we saw last year. But Tawee Walker, who spent some time at Oklahoma, we saw him a couple years back. He's a guy who can be bruising, has a little bit of juice to him as well. But it all starts with Sorsby, and it'll be interesting, having seen the 3 games he's put together so far this season, how Kansas is able to limit him, be it his arms or his legs.
Yeah, I think that the way that Kansas wins this game is, I think you have to force Brendan Sorsby to beat you with his arm, right? I think that you have to force him to do that, because with all of those stats that we have shown through the air have been against much lesser opponents. He's not throwing it against, Lyric Rawls and Jalen Todd and Austin Alexander and these kind of guys, right? He's throwing it against Bowling Green secondary and Northwestern State secondary, which I don't mean to, harp on them too much, but they're not power 4 level caliber guys in that secondary. So I think the way that you do this is you have to be able to contain Brendan Sorsby and make him throw it, because I don't think that Cincinnati's going to be able to win this game if he has to go through the air. We saw that he's more of in a very limited, kind of pinhole kind of way, kind of like Jalen Hurts. Obviously not as good as Jalen Hurts, but he feels pressure, he's running, he's gone. KU has to be able to contain that, right? Because in the moment he feels pressure, he's going to start running. That's exactly what he did against Nebraska. That's why he only had 69 yards through the air. That's why he had 96 yards on the ground, is because he wanted to run the ball constantly.
It's kind of a different type of quarterback, right, than somebody like Patrick Mahomes, and that's a really good point about Hurts. The fact that, hey, if he feels anybody breathing on him, he's running, and there's no hesitation. Mahomes is more so the type that he's going to extend and extend and extend. And JD does this to an extent as well.
Yeah.
Extend. I'm going to go this way. I'm going to roll out. I'm going to go this way. Where can I pass? Where can I pass? Where can I pass? Last option. Okay, now I'm running.
Yeah.
Right? That's not how it is for Sorsby. So that's where it's a little bit different, I think. You bring up the corners in the secondary. I'm going to bring up those guys on the edge, right? How impressive was it against Mizzou when Leroy Harris, who's somewhere between 6'5" and 6'7", was essentially a QB spy on Prabula. Prabula wasn't able to do anything with his legs. So you've got Leroy Harris, and we saw Justice Finkley these past couple games look more like the player we expect him to be. Alex Bray had a big hit, and you don't have to worry about the guys wearing down because there's so many dogs you're going to eat. That's how it is. KU is so deep up front on the interior and those exterior guys that I'm talking about. So you talk about secondary, and I talk about those guys making sure that you get pressure on Sorsby, and then again, the confidence level that, hey, if you do that, who's ready at the next level, because he's probably going to be off and running.
And I'm going to go ahead and split the difference here because we have a couple of guys that we have seen in the secondary make a meaningful impact in the run game, and that is whoever's playing in that hawk position. We've seen Mason Ellis quite a bit, and also Lyric Rawls has done a good job of being able to roll down and play in that run fit. Devin Dye as well, but we're not going to see him obviously for the first half of action. But the Dye brothers have done a great job. All those safeties have done a great job. So if I'm DK McDonald, I'm probably thinking, hey, I'm going to use that hawk position to essentially be a spy as well. Take a guy out of the secondary, keep him there. Meanwhile, you have the Leroy Harrises and the Dean Millers of the world getting that pressure. You flush him out, bang, you have a safety right there ready to make an open field tackle at the line of scrimmage. I think that's the way that you have to beat him. Now, again, I'm not a defensive coordinator. DK McDonald is a substantially smarter person than I am, but to me, just on a base level, I think that's how you beat this team on the defensive end of the ball. Hey, and some other news, by the way, speaking of KU football, Jalen Daniels, he was announced that he's a semifinalist for the William V. Campbell Trophy. It's for football's Premier Scholar Athlete Award. Has 177 semifinalists from all NCAA divisions and NAIA, boasts an impressive 3.60 average GPA, and also more than half the semifinalists already have their bachelor's degrees as well. So student athlete, Jalen Daniels.
There you go. Hey, if you missed anything JD said to the media, make sure you keep up on everything from JD, Coach Leipold, and any of the KU football, KU athletics players, anybody invested in the program. We're going to have that for you on KansasNation.com. Of course, KansasNation.com, your home for all things KU athletics. Keep up with us on TikTok, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook, Twitter. Again, find us at the Kansas Station. We'll be posting pregame videos, reaction videos, all sorts of coverage, everything you need. And excited for an 11 a.m. kick on Saturday, KU and Cincinnati. We're going to hear from Levi Wentz, KU's wide receiver, after this. Thanks for listening on ESPN Kansas City and watching KansasNation.com.
This is Dale Highshaw, and you're watching KansasNation.com.
Welcome back to Rock Chalk Sports here on KansasNation.com. We're going to hear from KU wide receiver Levi Wentz. But first, Dan, an important thing came about a little bit earlier today.
What's that?
Right around 1:30, I would say. I have officially converted you.
You have.
I have converted you to the good side. And people out there who won't understand just don't understand. Dan and I had an opportunity to be in Kansas City earlier today for a meeting and decided to treat ourselves to a delicious lunch afterward. Why don't you tell the folks what realization you came to?
So, for the majority of my life, I have been a Joe's fan, Oklahoma Joe's fan, Joe's Kansas City. I've been a Joe's guy through and through. I've come to the realization that Gates Barbecue
is your preferred. Is
my preferred. I still have love for Joe's in my heart.
Here's the deal. I
understand Easton loves Joe's too. He's shaking his head over there. He's got, free Z-Mans for a year. I get that.
Z-Men.
Yes.
Yes.
He's got free Z-Men. This is the plural.
Yes.
Sean.
Here's the deal.
You opened my eyes. I had the burn-in sandwich. I had the fries. I had a large red, as you call it.
Yes.
The strawberry soda.
And I don't just call that to you. That's literally how I order it.
No.
So, obviously, Joe's Kansas City arguably is the GOAT, right?
Yeah.
But it's also newer. It's newer than Gates. Gates started, I believe, on 18th and Vine. And the Z-Man sandwich at Joe's, incredible. I mean, Can't argue with that. Joe's has by far the best ribs.
It's one of your favorite ballpark foods, is the Z-Man
Z-Man sandwich. That's right.
Classic
ballpark food.
A lot of people don't understand that, but I'll explain it later. I guess.
Yes. No. Yeah. I mean, you have a bone to pick with me. But,
I do.
But speaking of bones, the ribs at Joe's again are the best out there. I don't recommend the ribs at Gates, but the burn-in sandwich at Gates is probably my death row meal. The burn-in sandwich at Gates with onion rings, side of pickles, and a large red. If you know, you know.
I could feel my arteries getting clogged, and I could feel the heart attack coming on. And
why did they put salt shakers on the table? Because then
that was the thing. I was fine with it. I was like, look, if I die right now, I'm happy. I'm happy because this was my last meal. And that's when I came to I was like, man, maybe Gates is the real deal.
The best thing was
there are different things. Like the regular burn-ins at Joe's are great. The burn-in sandwich at Gates is better, right? The onion rings at Jack Stack.
Yes.
To die for.
The ribs at Joe's are the best.
Yeah.
By far. The burn-in appetizer at Q39, very good. I don't want to talk down on any of these. I think I grew up on Gates. That was over in my neck of the woods, as you know. And the burn-in sandwich, man, it hits every time. You get a little pieces of fat in there. I mean, and I love the Gates sauce. I'm a sucker for the sauce. But anyway, we enjoyed it. My favorite part, though, was on the way over there, and we were talking about how we were probably going to have to get Gates. I was like, man, you've been craving a burn-in sandwich, and you said no. You said
I was craving a large red.
Yes,
I was craving a large strawberry soda.
Man. It goes great.
I don't know what it is, man. It's just
shout out to Kansas City barbecue. They're all delicious. So no, we had a better lunch than usual. So if we look a little more plump, that's why. Some KU soccer news. You mentioned it in the open, Dan, but Caroline Castens again getting recognized.
Yes, this is her second career Big 12 weekly honor. She was chosen as the Big 12 Defender of the Week. The conference had announced that today the Flower Mound, Texas native Caroline Castens has helped the Jayhawks to an unbeaten 1-0 record over this last week. They defeated Oklahoma State 1-0. Castens, she's scored the lone goal in the win for the Jayhawks, currently leads Kansas in assists right now with 5. She's second on the team in points with 9. She's also tied for third in the Big 12 with assists on the season. Caroline Castens has been absolutely incredible. We're actually going to hear from a couple of other KU soccer players as well later on in the show, but they are on fire as of right now.
Yeah, we're going to hear from Nate Lee later in the week as well. Plus, going to have coverage of KU volleyball. We heard from a couple KU volleyball players, Reese Patak and Ryan White, earlier this week, and Matt Ulmer. We're going to have audio from Coach Ulmer, I believe, on Friday in advance of a big-time matchup, which is sold out this weekend. KU gets Arizona State. Shout out to Henry Greenstein, KUSports.com, and the Lawrence Journal-World. He spent a lot of time in the desert.
A proud Sun Devil
I believe he's a graduate.
He's got a tattoo on his lower back of the pitchfork.
Forks up. And then Arizona, we don't even want to mention Arizona to Henry. I mean, his blood is boiling just thinking about
He's a violent man, as you know.
Yes, well, his allegiance to ASU, I get it. It's second to none, which is strange from somebody who hails from the Golden State. But anyway, shout out to KU Volleyball for selling out both of those matches. We finally get to see them here in the River City Friday and Sunday, and those are good programs, ASU and Arizona. So a good test.
Zoe Burgess revenge game, which is looking to be like one of the worst transfers ever. I don't think she might have played like one set total.
When somebody transfers after a coaching change, I think it was technically before the coaching change, but still, I don't know. It's just a little foggier there. So there is.
She's welcome to come back, I guess.
KU soccer in town at Rock Chalk Park Thursday against Baylor. That's tomorrow night, and then volleyball, a couple over the weekend. After this, speaking of the California kid, he's going to join us in studio. Next segment to talk all things KU. Thanks for listening to ESPN Kansas City and watching KansasNation.com.
Hey, this is Cole Ballard, and you're watching KansasNation.com.
John Kellerman and Dan Courtwright back with you live in our new Kansas Nation studios. Take a peek in if you're strolling down Mass Street, state-of-the-art new venue here in partnership with Sports Radio 810 WHB. We're happy to be here for Rock Chalk Sports. Every Wednesday on the show, we are joined by the California kid, Henry Greenstein, KUSports.com, and the Lawrence Journal-World. Henry, thanks again for coming in back on our regular schedule. Dan, I don't know if you saw, but last week, Henry was sitting here. I was sitting there.
I did.
It was kind of strange.
I thought my chair felt weird.
Yeah.
It was still warm even after that long weekend. That's so crazy.
5 days later, it was still warm. You must have forgot that you were actually back in your chair on Thursday.
That's true.
But anyway, Henry, thanks for coming in. Let's talk about that win on Saturday before we transition to the Brendan Sorsby side of things. impressive win, kind of what you were hoping for. KU was looked at as big favorites. Nothing that we should kind of just ho-hum blow past, right? Because this is Kansas football beating a Big 12 team by 31 points. What did you see? What did you like on Saturday?
Yeah, it's not just that, which in and of itself makes it the type of win that KU hasn't gotten much over the years. It's really the style in which they did it. Like, there have not been many times where KU has been able to blow out a conference foe, and it was without their offense even being particularly good. Like, in years past, for KU to even beat conference teams at all, it was all about misdirection and trickery and, all the stuff that has defined their offense. In this game, they just lined up and beat them on defense and special teams. I mean, I think we can agree that it wasn't the finest Jalen Daniels performance. He was kind of consistently off. It wasn't the finest running game performance, even if Leishon's late touchdown makes it look a lot better. But they were so dominant at the line of scrimmage, and they rattled Nico Markhill to such an extent, and they were so thoroughly spectacular on special teams that they didn't need to have the high standard that Daniels and Jim Zabrowski and the offense hold themselves to. So it was encouraging to see KU win in a new kind of way for the program, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and to your point, how many years were we watching KU football and you would hear somebody around the program say, yeah, we got to do this and this and that to give ourselves a chance in the fourth quarter, right? It's a little bit different now.
Yeah.
It's, hey, we're going to go out and we're going to beat these guys through and through. And special teams, let's talk about that because it's the third phase people don't talk about. Through 3 weeks, people didn't talk about it because maybe there was nothing spectacular like a 94-yard kick return touchdown. But Kansas was so solid that it's worth mentioning. Your punter's better than we've had recently. Your kicker's way better than what we've had in quite some time. And return game just looks like a lot of fun. What have you seen from those guys and the fact that played a big part?
Yeah, it's a small sample size because Finn Wappens only punted 13 times this year, but right now he's 2 yards above the season-long average record for Kansas football. So if he stays on this pace, he'll be in the record books.
Nice.
I mean, that's probably, I would argue, even the least spectacular of the different special teams units, and that's on a record-setting pace. So that's pretty remarkable. Laith Marjan has been, as you guys say, money. He hasn't. I mean, he's been tested. 40-plus yard field goals in college are no small feat, and he's been totally reliable. With little doubt about his ultimate success. And, Tate Nagy just somehow keeps doing it. I did get a little bit of trepidation when he kind of muffed that one at the end and it kind of sort of went out of bounds. But 30-yard punt return, that really helped set the tone for KU early. And part of the reason why their offensive numbers don't end up looking that spectacular, by the way, is because they were in short field so much.
Right.
In part because of that one Nagy return and the one Henderson return before his touchdown.
That was supposed to be a fair catch, right?
Yes, apparently. And, I don't think either he or Lance Leipold are particularly bothered that he ended up not fair catching that one. But on the whole, what it results in is just a new element, a new dimension to this Kansas team. And we may see close games later in the year where that ends up being a tiebreaker. And certainly KU fans will hope that by then they're still thriving to the same extent they did in this one.
Henry Greenstein, KSports.com and the Lawrence Journal World joins us here in studio. Henry, I wanted to talk about the run game. I know, like you said, it wasn't spectacular up until Leishon Williams' long 62, 67-yard run, whatever it might have been. I want to talk about Leishon Williams because Daniel Hishaw played early, came off, actually came back out on the sideline in street clothes. Leishon Williams was able to step up in a big way. Do you think Leishon Williams kind of has proven to the coaching staff that, hey, I'm able to take this next step forward? Because all offseason we were kind of talking about, Hishaw might be the bell cow and Williams might get about 30% of the carries. Are you looking at this kind of, this might change that disparity between snap count? Do you think Leishon Williams could potentially be the bell cow later on down the season?
I think that as long as Daniel Hishaw is in any kind of shape to play, they'll give him some amount of carries. But I do think it was good for Leishon to prove that he can be a featured back and have a reasonably good performance. The Hishaw thing is so unfortunate. We spent all offseason hearing about how he's in the best physical, mental, and spiritual shape of his life, as Gildersleeve put it. And here we are, the conference opener, and he can't really go. 2 carries, 9 yards. It's just a shame, especially for someone who has been marred by injuries so much throughout his career, that the season where he looked poised to be one of the key offensive playmakers hasn't come to fruition yet. Now, granted, we'll see what happens. He may even play this weekend. We're not sure. If he doesn't, I do think it'll be more important than ever for Johnny Thompson and Harry Stewart to continue to show themselves. Like Jim Zabrowski said the other day, he, in a complimentary fashion, he said, I didn't really know they were in. which is good because it demonstrates that those young players integrate themselves well into the offense. They don't cause problems, and they picked up some decent chunks while they were in there. I just think that whether it is Leishon or Highshaw, this doesn't seem like a team that's going to have too many big plays right out of the gate. They kind of need to wear you down a little bit. I think that Bryce Foster yesterday called it a softening process.
Yeah.
I believe that's the phrase he used. And we may see stuff like that again, especially with Cincinnati having a pretty good defensive line. So I'm not sure exactly what's going to happen with Williams and Highshaw. I do think that KU has such an allegiance and loyalty to Highshaw that as long as he's healthy, he will be a major part of the offense.
Yeah, 100%. And I wanted to talk about that West Virginia game before we kind of put a bow on it. When the line opened up, it was like 13.5, bet down to 11.5, depending on kind of where you were at. When that came out, I was like, oh my gosh, this is ridiculous. This is a Big 12 team. You know, they beat Pitt. Like, what is even happening? But obviously, you know, Jaheim White, their best player, he's out for the season. Ty Edwards, who came in big in that Pitt game, he was out too. And as the West Virginia play-by-play guy said to me, their third-string running back is a guy that you would see at an Emporia State kind of athlete. So with that big 31-point win against
I paid
West
Caridi
Virginia,
to say that to you.
did you say? Yeah, no, I'm sure he
just
said
worked
that
out
before,
perfectly.
He said that before he even knew that I played there. I was like, oh, cool. But looking at that West Virginia win, do you see that as kind of fool's gold, I guess, in terms of like, hey, West Virginia really is not as good as any of these other teams? Or do you think that that's a huge win and that momentum is going to kind of carry over? Do you think Kansas is where they need to be right now? Or do you think West Virginia is probably just worse than I think that everyone kind of anticipated?
The real question is, if he were at Emporia State, what proportion of his snaps would be victory formation?
Right.
I bet not
3
a
of them
lot.
probably.
Yeah.
Well, two of three probably.
I bet you I would have more victory formation snaps than he did. That's for sure.
I feel like I need to answer your actual question though, which is about whether the veracity of this win. I think because they were so dominant, you can take it for what it is.
Sure. Okay.
Like I said, like it shows that this is a serious team. If nothing, we don't know how serious KU is yet in terms of contending for the Big 12 conference. And I agree with you. They clearly caught West Virginia at a good time. We didn't know Ty Edwards wasn't going to play. Apparently, Mark Yell's hurt now. If you guys didn't see, he's now
I didn't know
may
that.
not play next week. I don't know if that was part of what happened on Saturday, but no, I think this is a win you can take at face value. I think West Virginia, they may be rebuilding an injury plague right now, but that's a bona fide Big 12 program. Beating them by 31 is no small accomplishment. I do think KU needs to string some things together, but it was a nice way to announce themselves to the conference on their day one of Big 12 play.
Well, Henry, let's talk about Emmanuel Henderson, because we've had some electric players over the years here at KU, even during the tough stretch, 10, 12 years. You had Puka Williams, you had Laquiviante Gonzalez, some really like fast players that you're like getting excited about.
That's crazy.
Quiv Gonzalez, yeah, what a KU legend. But Emmanuel Henderson almost, I feel like, isn't getting talked about enough. Yeah, he's the Big 12 Co-Special Teams Player of the Week. He had the good kick return that isn't talked about and the good kick return that is talked about. 6 catches, 38 yards, not numbers are going to jump off the page at you, and JD wasn't at his best, but he has a chance to be like a all-conference caliber player, in my opinion. Your thoughts on him and how he can really be a game breaker? Because it seems like every top-tier team needs a guy like that.
Yeah, the 6 catches for 38 yards sound a lot better when you realize that was half of Jalen's completions and a quarter of his yards.
Right.
So clearly, and I think he had 9 targets in total, clearly they have a rapport. Clearly Jalen feels it's someone he can rely on. I still want to see, Wentz has admitted, like, the knock on Henderson coming out of Alabama was, because he was a running back. Like, is this someone who has the hands to make big plays and big catches? I still want to see him do more of that. But for now, KU's done a really good job using his skill set to get him in short route concepts, quick screens. It's a kind of playmaker we haven't seen. I mean, you referenced some predecessors. Maybe they should hide Henderson, camouflage him in the end zone,
right?
Like they did back in the day.
Oh my God, yeah, in between the K and the A.
That might be a good. He seems perfectly capable of getting it done on his own, but I do think, though, I'm still a little concerned about how they haven't really unlocked the rest of the receiving.
That's what I was going to ask you about.
Yeah.
I mean, you saw Levi Wentz on a touchdown that, well, quite frankly, Jordan Gusky could have scored on. I mean, nobody was there, and he had the nothing but green until he got to the end zone. So there was that option for Wentz. Nobody besides Henderson in his 6 catches caught more than one. Pickett, we know, hasn't been 100% healthy, but those other guys, it seems like, whether or not they have a rapport, we haven't really been able to see in full yet because they haven't been out there. We've been waiting on Bryson Canty, et cetera.
Yeah, the Pickett thing is confusing to me because he didn't have an injury designation last week, and he played a little bit more. He had like 20, 24, 27 snaps, something like that. But I still continue to think that he should be the person leading the team in receptions, as we discussed all through the offseason, simply because of his route running and his ability to make people miss. He can be a really good yards after the catch option. I think Wentz has sort of been about what you expected to this point. And I think they're going to start getting more from Canty. And that's helped a little bit with Pickett being hurt, even though I think Canty had one catch. But yeah, I think that's a group that's still taking shape. And by the way, tight end's not as big of a factor in this past game either.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Henry Greenstein, KSports.com, and the Lawrence Journal World joins us here in studio. Henry, I wanted to flip the field, go on the defensive side of the ball, talk about those defensive ends, right? Because Justice Finkley, captain, a guy who everyone was super high on in the offseason, haven't really been hearing his name a whole lot until this past game against West Virginia. Dean Miller probably had his best game as a Jayhawk. Just talk about that defensive end group and kind of the growth that you've seen from them and how they can take on this Cincinnati offensive line.
Yeah, so Cincinnati's offensive line has not allowed a sack this year. They're the only team in the country with that distinction at this point. I believe they've also not.
Is that a Brendan Sorsby stat or a offensive line stat?
That's a Brensby stat, as Sean referred to him earlier.
Brensby, I know. We're gonna stick with that.
Brensby.
That's true though. Like he's a quarterback. It's not easy to sack, but I will counter by saying, apparently Cincinnati also hasn't allowed a quick pressure.
Sure.
So
Okay.
that speaks for itself. But to your question, like obviously defensive end is one of KU's best position groups, and that's without even being particularly deep right now. Like they haven't had Dylan Brooks, so it's kind of just, and they only just got Dak Brinkley back, so it's really been 2 on one side, 2 on the other. But those 4, I would argue, have been among KU's best defensive players. Alex Bray's been effective on stunts. He's been working quietly, but still been effective. And then we all know what Dean and Leroy and Justice have done, especially recently. So props to Taiwo and Atoa for getting that group coached up, but I've been very impressed by them.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and I have to wonder, Dean Miller obviously was an all Big 12 caliber guy last year, and he had 6 sacks and certainly was looked at as a leader. But I wonder if the offseason, when you bring in guys like Bray and Harris, just the internal competition, I feel like we're seeing Dean play his best football right now. Finkley as well in that group. Well, let's talk about Cincinnati moving forward because, of course, KU did what they needed to against West Virginia, and now Cincinnati, a team that the public evidently likes in this one to keep it close at the very least. They're led by Sorsby. I talked earlier in the show, and we'll mention it throughout the week, that not that Sorsby's all they have, but it sure seems like more so than any other team, they need him to be good. What's Kansas going to have to do against Brendan Sorsby, because he can beat you in a variety of ways?
I think they got to take away Joe Royer. I mean, probably the best tight end in the conference. He was the all-conference pick, and I see him as a safety valve for Sorsby. So if your linebackers can do a good job in coverage and kind of force him to make tough throws, they have a revamped wide receiving core this year. Some names KU fans might recognize, like Lindenwood legend Jeff Caldwell. Caleb Goody from Colorado State was a player KU offered in the portal, and then Cyrus Allen from A&M. They have really revamped things and made it easier on Sorsby by giving him more weapons to work with. But I think it kind of starts with Royer in terms of their passing attack, like just not letting him get into open space and find those holes in the zone and stuff. And, KU's linebackers have lived up to expectations. They're a little thin at safety this week, but there's a lot of onus, I guess, or a burden on those groups to limit the tight ends in this matchup.
And I want to look at the defensive side of the ball for Cincinnati, right? They have that 3 down with the rover. Dante Corleone could potentially not play in this game. I mean, there have been reports of him kind of in a boot. I mean, we don't know what's going on there, but I do like their defense quite a bit, especially how they utilize that rover. What does Kansas's offense need to do in order to kind of put up some points against Cincinnati?
Yeah, KU has such an interesting history with these 3-3-5 defenses. And of course, Tyson Vate, who's Cincinnati's defensive coordinator, is a Haycock disciple. He was on staff with ISU with DK McDonald as the linebackers coach there, and even at Toledo, I think too. And so last time KU saw Cincinnati in 23, they weren't running this scheme, but you see this with Iowa State and Kansas State every year, so it's not like it's totally new for Kansas. But like I said, the results have been varied. If you look at KU versus Iowa State in 22 or 23, they couldn't really do much of anything in the running game. Those were tough games for Devin Neal. And then suddenly last year, KU absolutely went off on offense against Iowa State. Third time was the charm there. We'll see exactly what kinds of wrinkles Cincinnati has. Corleone's apparently going to be questionable on the first injury report tonight. We'll see. I mean, the fact that he was on a scooter 2 weeks ago doesn't necessarily bode well for his availability. But it's still a solid unit regardless. And like I said, a scheme that has occasionally troubled KU in years past.
Well, we know that Sorsby, like we've talked about, is the guy that Kansas is going to have to stop on the defensive side. And Jalen Daniels is going to have to play well. But outside of those and the turnover game, what are some keys against this Cincinnati team in particular, Henry, in order for Kansas to start 2-0 in conference play?
I think the offensive line needs to block well in the interior, whether it's Corleone or not. I think that goes back to the softening process we mentioned and wearing them down, and getting some big runs early would go a long way. I also think, on a related note, getting Jalen involved in the run game. I think it's no coincidence that Jalen breaks off those big runs on quarterback draws right before halftime, and then right after halftime is where West Virginia seems to soften up. I think that if KU can more consistently have Jalen run the ball from early on, that will go a long way. Blitz pickup comes to mind. Cincinnati's got some good linebackers, including Golday, just guys to watch out for. And on the other side of the ball, like keeping containment, maintaining rush lanes, all the things you try to do against running quarterbacks, much like they did with Perbula. That was probably the best containment of a scrambling quarterback in the Leipold era. I understand DK said that it's a different offense, so some of the issues are different, but if they can transfer any aspect of that specific part of the Missouri performance, it'll go a long way on Saturday.
Well, you heard it here first, folks. Henry Greenstein says 70% chance KU wins this game against Cincinnati. Henry, wanted to talk about some of the other Kansas teams that are in action as of this week. KU soccer, right off to their best start in program history. Caroline Castan's just named Big 12 Defensive Player of the Week. Just talk about what they have done in this big matchup against Baylor coming up.
Castens is pretty incredible, isn't she? It feels like every highlight that the KU soccer team generates is off a cross of hers, or either that or she's seizing on someone else's deflection. She's such like a good opportunistic player to have on the wing back and threatening up front, even though she's ostensibly a defender. There's a reason why she was named to the watch list for that trophy that goes to the nation's best player. But in general, I think I really admire how much Nate Lee's teams are always committed to that high pressure style. I think it surprises teams that aren't used to playing against it, which in turn I think is really useful on Thursday because they haven't seen Baylor yet, or Baylor hasn't seen them rather. This is weirdly enough the first time that they've played against them since Nate took over. But yeah, they've been exceptionally impressive thus far. They had the same starting lineup in every game. I didn't know that until that came up yesterday, but it's not only that, like they've also had like 3 or 4 subs who have played in every game too. So that really helps building continuity and building trust. And it's especially useful for a team that maybe had some questions about its center backs going in. Clearly, they've proven up to the task. Players like Olivia Page, Fiona Skorowski, and Jordan Felstad. But yeah, they seem to be firing on all cylinders, and a couple of tough tests coming up, especially on Sunday with TCU. But I think Nate will have them ready to play.
And we heard from Jordan Feldstadt yesterday in the media availability, as well as Coach Nate Lee. Did anything that Coach Lee say to you that kind of stuck out in his kind of extended media availability?
I mean, I think there were a couple of interesting notes he gave. First of all, unfortunately, it sounds like Mary Soul is out for the season. She had a couple of goals earlier, including the equalizer against Florida State. But speaking of that Florida State game, I was basically struck by the fact that's the only time KU has trailed this year.
Yeah, it's crazy.
They have not had to chase a game, so they've trailed for 12 minutes, 51 seconds this season, which kind of makes you wonder, how will they respond if they go down, say, against TCU? Because it's harder to exert your will on an opponent when you're chasing the ball around. And you don't want to do that against TCU, even though it kind of worked out well for them last time. So that Solon note was interesting. And also, apparently, Brooke Otto close to playing again. She's a captain. She was one of the players figuring at center back last year. She got hurt towards the end of the season and missed most of that Big 12 tournament run. A transfer from, I think, Iowa State, who was pledged to Nate at Xavier and then followed him. She's like a great leader of the team, but she's only played once this year for like 15 minutes. He said they would have put her in at Oklahoma State if they hadn't gone a player down. So I guess keep an eye out for Brooke to work her way back into the rotation a little bit.
Well, yeah, big weekend coming up for KU soccer and KU volleyball. KU soccer's got Baylor and TCU. Volleyball's got ASU and Arizona. And I want you to give you maybe your take on volleyball after a 9-5 non-conference season. But first, one thing that struck me yesterday as volleyball and soccer were kind of paired together at media availability is these are Travis Goff hires and Nate Lee and Matt Ulmer. And they kind of, to me, seem like such similar fantastic personalities because they both are charismatic guys who are great with the media, easy to talk to, but in kind of reading between the lines, you can tell that they expect greatness from their players, right? And you know, people have asked about practice and how that kind of sounds for them. I don't know that I don't know that a softie like me would be able to handle being being at a
Right.
practice for one of these guys. They expect greatness, they expect full effort, and at the same time, they have that personability, that charisma. So pretty special coaches here.
Yeah, it's interesting with Nate because he presents himself as kind of this mild mannered
Right.
guy with equanimity. But like he talked about how difficult it is to play center back for him. Like he's a demanding guy and he should be. And I appreciate what you said about how they don't couch their statements, they don't hedge. Like these are both coaches who expect greatness out of their players and don't settle. Like they keep lofty objectives within sight. But yeah, as for volleyball, it's been a process. It's been uneven. They're fairly healthy outside of Reagan Burns' injury, and they're seemingly starting to settle in on a good lineup. I still don't totally know what the deal is at setter, because you know
Both of them are captains too.
both of them are
Yeah,
captains.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Katie Dalton hasn't played much of late, so she's clearly second right now. But you know, as Ulmer said, different setters have good ties with different hitters. I think most of all has been trying to build the connection between Kristen Klein and Reese Patak has been very key, and it's still a work in progress. And you really want to unlock those two unconference players' full potential. To hear Reese tell it, it's been a good process for them, but it does seem like it's still a process. This is a really challenging way to start off league play. ASU, number 8 in the country. 2 of their best players are 2 of Ulmer's players from Oregon. I'm not really sure if that's a good or a bad thing for KU entering this game, but the reigning league champion and a chance for KU to make a statement right away.
Yeah, and one thing that Coach Ulmer said yesterday, kind of in passing, not necessarily specifically referencing Arizona and ASU coming up this weekend, is the fact that when he was in the Pac-12 with Oregon, they were all in the Pac-12. They all kind of played similar styles. I'll be interested to see if that kind of maybe helps KU's chances over the weekend against 2 programs that Coach Ulmer has a lot of experience against. Yeah, Arizona and KU volleyball, that's going to be Sunday, but it's going to be a Henry Greenstein revenge
That's
game
right.
on Friday night. Back
Proud
at
Sun
Forge,
Devil.
9-5 non-conference for KU, but the conference
Can we see
opener.
the tattoo, Henry?
is-
I know it's you have it on the.
Yeah, we are on video.
Yeah, right.
We are on video
I
format
did
right
hear
now.
your reference to that, and I'd like to decline comment at this time.
So not necessarily declining it, but declining it. That's fair enough.
Please
Henry,
the fifth.
thanks again for coming in. Hey, hopefully we're talking about another KU football victory, but the time has arrived. We have a lot of excitement coming around, and we didn't even ask you about basketball, so we'll save that for next week as well. But appreciate your time.
Yep, I'm looking forward to this week, and thanks for having me.
Of course, you got it. Henry Greenstein. Make sure you follow him on Twitter at Henry Greenstein. After this, KU Mailbag. You still have time to find us on Twitter at the Kansas Nation with all your questions and comments we'll touch on next segment. Thanks for listening to ESPN Kansas City and watching KansasNation.com.
This is Dale Highshaw, and you're watching KansasNation.com.
Welcome back to Rock Chalk Sports here, 5 o'clock hour with Dan Courtwright. I am Sean Kellerman. Thanks for watching on KansasNation.com and listening to ESPN Kansas City. One thing we didn't ask Greeny last segment in honor of our barbecue chatter was his favorite barbecue. I can only imagine
right.
it's the pickles on the side.
Yes, he's a big pickles guy. Likes fries. He could eat barbecue sauce.
He can eat
right?
pickles, fries, barbecue sauce. There's no meat in barbecue sauce unless
No.
you do the right thing and dip your
He can
burn-in
get the burn-in
sandwich in it.
sandwich, no burn-ins, just bread.
I'm kind of a high maintenance eater. Like I go to Chipotle and I eat everything. So I'm not high maintenance in terms of picky.
Sure, okay.
But I go to Chipotle, I get a burrito, throw whatever on it. I don't care. Literally anything I will eat there. But then I also need like a side of hot, and then I get like a side of the jalapeno Tabasco.
You're the
and
extras guy.
A side of the smoked Tabasco. Same
So-
deal. Like at Gates, I'm gonna get the pickles. I'm gonna get the hot stuff sauce. I'm gonna get the regular sauce.
We've had this discussion before. I know that if you order ranch and you don't get your ranch,
Oh, boy.
you'll raise hell.
I will not raise hell.
Sean,
my mom would
Sean
raise hell.
starts asking for managers. It's bad. It's bad.
My mom
folks.
would
It
be.
is-
upset. My wife is
My
like
mother's the same way too.
my wife is like intimidated by my mom. Like my wife and I will be out not by my mom herself, but by intimidated from a restaurant standpoint. Like I'll
Sure.
be at dinner with my wife and then maybe she's supposed to get, I don't know, breadcrumbs on her mac and cheese and the breadcrumbs didn't come and she's like, oh, I'm not going to say like my mom would say something.
I
but,
can't.
But
I would
my
never-
wife would be like, oh, well, it's okay.
If I order a steak and you give me a salad, like I will just eat the salad. I am such a coward. I am a big time coward.
What about Teresa?
Teresa? Oh, she'll raise hell.
Yeah.
My mother, she's a minimum wage waitress's worst nightmare.
And what's CC do?
Chris is he doesn't do nothing. He's the same as me. He's the same as me.
Well, yeah, I can only
oh, man.
imagine Greenstein likes the fries. Maybe the onion rings. That's a vegetable.
Yeah, I bet Henry could dab on some onion rings.
Here I was thinking that we didn't have a vegetable with our Gates lunch, but we had onions and pickles.
Yeah, we're being healthy.
Oh man, look at
Look
that.
at
That's great. All the food groups at Gates for Dan and my lunch earlier. Hey, KU Mailbag segment at the Kansas Nation on Twitter. Hit us up. You still got a little bit of time. Who are we starting with?
Still got a little bit of time. Let's start off with this one because this one, it might be my favorite question that we've gotten so far. There are a lot of really good questions in this one. Shout out to everybody who asked in the KU Mailbag. Shout out to Ben Hook from the UDK sent a mailbag question. He said, if every current Kansas coach, so Bill Self, Lance Leipold, Fitzgerald, etc., was given 24 hours of advanced notice that someone was going to attempt to kidnap them and hold them for ransom, and that they couldn't tell anybody this would happen, or else, who would be the least likely to get got?
Wow, I need to read that again.
So okay, I call up all of the head coaches for Kansas and I say, you have 24 hours. We're going to kidnap you. You can't go to the police. You can't tell anybody. Who's least likely to actually get kidnapped? Like, who could fight him off?
You start us off.
I right away, my mind went to Dan Fitzgerald. I think that guy's scrappy. Baseball guy. He's thick. He's short, and he just looks like a scrapper, man. I think Lance, bless his heart, he's 61, 62, maybe. He's in his 60s right now, so he's a little bit older, on the older side. Now he can get fiery too, right? But a little thin. I think Fitz has got the build. He can fight off any kind of thugs that are trying to get him for ransom. Self is just too nice of a guy. I don't see him really fighting that much.
You know who I'd go to battle with?
Brandon?
The new KU rowing coach, Andrew Derrick.
Andrew Derrick's a good pick.
Like
That's a great pick.
For sure.
Andy Derrick, man.
You talk about a guy that can...
He's a scrapper.
Throw down.
He's a scrapper. I see like I think Brandon could scrap. I think Brandon would be good. He like lives out on a farm somewhere, so I think that he's a really resourceful kind of guy. My mind immediately goes to Coach Fitz. Now, like Lindsey Cool, I think she could scrap. I think that, you know, she's got a 9-iron just hiding behind her back. She could whoop up on some guys. I don't know. I think Fitz is the one, right? It's got to be. It's got to be Fitz.
Real quick, this is kind of a sidebar from that, but I was so curious from our segment earlier. I'm looking up Matthew Sluka stats just because I wanted to know.
Is this what you do?
Okay, so this dude was on top of the world when UNLV beat KU.
So what was his deal?
Right?
I forgot what happened in the offseason.
I think that there were some things going on.
Sure.
If you know what I mean.
Oh, yeah, he didn't get paid, right.
Sluka this season for JMU is 6 for 9 with a touchdown and 2 picks.
Yikes.
Also has 2 carries. So, yeah, what a difference 12 months can make. But anyway, good question, Ben. I mean,
who's
how
your
do you
answer?
The Hall of Famer just wins, too. So how do you not go with Bill Self?
Yeah, but do you think, like, he can't, but Bill Self can't tell anybody that this is happening,
right?
So it's basically like, who can go all Liam Neeson and or you know, Keanu Reeves, John Wick, and just whip up on some guys who are trying to kidnap him for ransom.
That's tough.
It's got to be Fitz.
I said Andrew Derrick.
Andrew Derrick's a good pick.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. You're going with Andrew Derrick. I'm going with Fitz. That's a great question. Shout out to Ben for the question. Colin, he asks, what's the quickest and cheapest way to get a pickleball net? Steal it. I don't know. Go to Dick's Sporting Goods, or no, what is it? Dick's House of
Dick's House of Sport.
I don't like this
ad.
They actually
did you
change it.
They literally changed it. It's no longer
Dick's
Dick's Sporting Goods. It's Dick's House of Sport.
I hate that.
What's the reasoning for that?
I don't know. That's so dumb. I don't like that. It's been Dick's Sporting Goods forever. If you're gonna change one part of the name, it's got to be the Dick's part, right?
I mean, that
just,
most House of
there's
Sports.
one thing in the name you got to change.
I don't
whatever.
I don't understand. Let's see. I don't know, man. I can't. Oh wait, here we go.
Oh man,
the first one opened in 2021. There is no way. Hey, let's go to Wikipedia here.
Maybe it's different.
Maybe it is different. I mean,
maybe Dick's House of Sport is just like a smaller
House of Sport.
Dick's Sporting Goods. Oh, whatever.
It was founded in 1948, by the way, Dick's Sporting Goods by Richard Dick Stack. Dick Stack.
Stack.
That is crazy. Dick's Sporting Goods. It's
Man.
still Dick's Sporting Goods Incorporated, but there's now a Dick's House of Sport. I don't get it. And I also
have another it's like going gone or something.
I just do not understand that. I don't know. The one in Town Center, which was over by where we were at earlier today, where Easton's baby, Joe's Kansas City
That's
is.
right. Yeah.
That used to be a Galleons. Remember Galleons?
No, I don't remember.
It was similar. It was Dick's before Dick's.
Galleons?
Yes.
How old are you?
I'm telling you, man.
Did they used to sell like
Galleons.
spare wheels for your horse carriage there?
I told Easton, I told
croquet
Dan,
mallets.
I told Dan that I'm going to start bringing up how short he is because he's shorter than me.
In short, I'm
so he
6'1".
he brings up the old thing all the time.
He's 6'1.5".
Yeah, no, I'm 6'2". I'm 6'2".
Hey,
Galleons was acquired by Dick's Sporting Goods. Look at this. All right, I gotta quit looking stuff up. I've been looking stuff up.
All right, Cole, I love this question. This is a great one too. Another silly one. He says, Yukon Gold or Russets as greatest potato of all time.
G-Pote?
G-Pote, yeah. Yukon Gold or Russets? What are you going?
What do they make the Joe's Kansas City fries out of?
I would imagine Yukon Gold, right?
Maybe. Probably Russets. Probably Russets.
You on Russets? I'm a Yukon Gold guy.
I don't know. Dude, have I told you my wife's favorite food of all time is breakfast potatoes? Really?
I can't. I mean, I'm not going to tell her she's wrong.
I mean, but think about it.
We've talked, probably not. But
we've talked potatoes in the past.
Yeah.
But if I have to,
I'm pretty sure we've done a top 10 potatoes.
I'm sure we have. But if I have to go to war with a potato,
seasoned breakfast potatoes,
I'm going with the tater tot.
Oh, that's
I'm going with
you,
tater
6?
tot
Oh
because
my God,
you
he's
can
a child. This man is a child.
You can have tater tots as breakfast
hate
potatoes. You can have a loaded baked potato as tater tot form. I'm telling you, tater tots are the way to go. And would you ever, if there's no upcharge, would you ever choose fries over tots? Realistically,
yes.
That's a mistake.
Choose fries over tots. I choose fries over tots every day.
Yeah,
of my
because
life
you don't want to pay the
virtually.
extra $1.99.
No, it's not about an upcharge. I like
Tots are
fries better than tots.
Find us on Twitter at the Kansas Nation and let us know fries or tots. Tots are better.
You
Obviously, I'm not saying they're the best side of all time, but I'm saying from a potato standpoint,
I like my chicken nuggets to be shaped like dinosaurs too. I'm Sean Kellerman. I'm
sure
a
you
child.
do. I'm sure you do.
Jeez.
I've got dino nuggets
Grow
in
up.
my freezer right now.
Oh, drink some black coffee and eat some damn fries for once in your life.
See, people who get regular fries when there's an option, like over at Johnny's Tavern, West Lawrence, a great local sports bar with over 13 locations from
Raymore to
Topeka, you can get seasoned fries at no upcharge. Also, you can get a fry ring combo for no upcharge. Why would you not do that? Fries are fine.
Sure.
You get enough ranch, and again,
Maybe they're fine.
This goes back to my. This goes back to my high maintenance. I need the ranch. I need the barbecue. I need the Chick-fil-A sauce. No ketchup. Anything but ketchup. Other sauce. Did I say honey mustard? A different type of barbecue. Jalapeno ranch.
You're gonna get me all riled up.
I don't need.
This is
on
insane.
tots. You don't need a dip.
This is my least favorite thing about you, and I don't like a lot about you. There's a lot of things I don't like about you.
The greatest potato of all time. I don't know what tots technically are made out of, but I know that they're fried and
it's an amalgamation of many different kinds of potatoes.
Stop saying amalgamation. You've said that all week. All right.
I said like once.
Cody wants to know: are the Chiefs still a top 10 team? All right, I got to focus here on sports.
Yeah, well, all right, we'll talk sports. So all right, number one off the bat. All right, we won't go in order, but okay.
Top 5.
So Bills.
Stop. Okay, here we'll do this. Stop me. We'll go back and forth. We say
okay.
stop when we get to a team that's not better than the Chiefs.
Okay, I love that.
Okay. Bills.
Ravens.
Lions.
Packers.
Chargers.
Damn. Yeah. Let's see. Eagles. How many are we at now?
Washington football team.
They don't have Jaden Daniels right now.
They do have Jaden Daniels. He's
Okay,
a
I
quarterback.
just saw that he was listed as questionable.
This is kind of supposed to be like a rapid fire.
Yeah, I know,
type
but
thing.
I actually no. So like, I don't think that they're like. I think I think
Colts are 3-0. Would you say Colts?
No.
Okay.
I don't think the Colts are a better team.
All right. So are you stopping me at football team?
I'm gonna go ahead and stop you at football
Okay.
team.
So they're still top 10, but I think we agree they're not a top 5 team right now. You got Eagles, Lions, Packers, Bills, Ravens.
Yeah.
And then you've got, again,
Chiefs are sort of in that
Colts are
second
3-0
tier right now.
Football team,
No,
we
Colts
think
are
is good.
Colts are like the
Chargers
Saints were last year. The Colts are the Saints were the best team in football through 2 weeks last year.
The Colts are 3-0 and they just won by 21 on the road.
guess.
And yeah, it was the Titans, but still. It's still a win.
I don't believe in the Colts. I do not believe in the Colts whatsoever.
Packers did lose to the Browns.
So yeah, I think Chiefs are top
still
10
I think as long as you got Mahomes, you're top 10 team,
for sure.
Right? But the Chiefs defense is too good to even be
Yeah.
I think even be not because I mean they're still a top 8 team, I think, no matter what.
Well, okay, so right now the Chiefs are not a top 10 team because they don't have. If you include the fact that Xavier Worthy is not healthy, which he could be playing this weekend, and they don't have Rashee Rice, I think that at that right now, no. When you bring everything together and everybody's healthy and everybody's there, yes, absolutely. I think it's a no-brainer because right now the number 1 wide receiver is Tyquan Thornton, and that's just not. It just
Mahomes
can't happen.
Seems to
Travis
be
Kelce's losing his step.
Mahomes seems to be
the play
preferring
calling has been
Thornton
bad
to Hollywood. Hollywood got 16 targets week 1, but it
Who
seems like
else
the
does he
rapport
have?
is more so there. That's what I'm saying. He hasn't gotten any targets.
Yeah.
Hollywood's gotten 5 targets each of the last 2 games.
That's true.
It seems like Tyquan Thornton's becoming more of a preferred target. But yeah, we got to get some guys back. Hopefully Worthy is back on Sunday. Big Lodge wants to know how many bananas is too many. Dude, I got to tell my Paul DeYoung story.
That's right.
Paul DeYoung, former Royals legend.
Yes, played for the Royals for what, like 2 months?
Yes, exactly. Paul DeYoung was on a summer woodbat collegiate team named the Wisconsin Woodchucks.
Nice.
DeYoung went
how
to
do you know
Illinois
this?
State. Oh, I'll tell you. DeYoung went to Illinois State, and the Wisconsin Woodchucks are part of the Northwoods League. Now they're called the Wausau Woodchucks. They located in Wausau, and they switched over. There are other teams in Wisconsin. But I had the opportunity way back when to go up and do play-by-play for the Wisconsin Woodchucks. And all it is a bunch of guys from, there's Cape Cod League. There's summer leagues for collegiate players to go play in after their season's over. And Paul DeYoung was the best player on the team. Not surprising, he becomes a major leaguer. But Pete Alonso was also in that league. But DeYoung was on that team. I'm trying to think if there was another major league player. But DeYoung would hit cleanup and, all that. And I'll get to the bananas question here shortly. But on these long bus rides, which, it's even longer than minor league baseball, so people can imagine that. But long bus rides overnight from, Thunder Bay, Ontario, back to Wausau, Wisconsin, 7 hours or whatever overnight after you just played, and then you got a game at home the next day. Well, DeYoung would kind of keep to himself. He was always toward the front of the bus. He wasn't messing around, with the other guys in the back of the bus like some are taking things off.
Sure.
And he was the nicest guy on the team. So I was
That's
so
awesome.
happy when the Royals got him. Of course, he called up initially by the Cardinals, who drafted him. He's currently still on the roster with Washington Nationals. But DeYoung would sit up front, and he would have like 2 racks of bananas with him, and that would be what he would eat on these long trips. So I don't know. Everybody else would get like gas station food. The bus driver would stop, and we'd get gas station food and all that. But the dude would just eat bananas all the time. And
you hear that, kids? If you want to be a Major League Baseball player,
that's what it
eat
is.
Bananas.
Yeah. Set the record for homers in the league that summer, did DeYoung. But I'll always remember him, as good as he was. And again, he ended up being the best player on the team and one of the best in the league, one of the best in the history of the league, as being such a nice guy. He was always a great dude. So I was excited for him when he got called up. And he's had a pretty good Major League career. I mean, he's bounced around a bit, but he's still playing for the Nationals right now.
So after that story, I'm going to say that
no amount of bananas is too many. No, I think if you're talking about a day, I mean, 2 bananas is not weird in a day.
No.
I don't think have one immediately when you wake up. It's my go-to fruit personally.
Yeah.
And then I think 3 is probably an appropriate amount, right?
Yeah.
For a day.
I ate
that would be kind of a lot.
I ate 3 bananas in a day one time, and my girlfriend was like, "Stop! You're gonna get potassium poisoning." So I looked it up. You have to eat like 2,000 bananas to get potassium poisoning. I was like, "Oh, dodged a
great.
bullet there. Thanks for saving
Well,
my life, Piper.
you were talking bad on me when we were over at Hy-Vee. Shout out to Keegan and John and
Oh,
Jen
that was
and all
weird.
those
No.
guys.
He would walk down the
I
aisle.
wanted a
Hy-Vee,
snack.
grab one banana and scan it and pay like 40 cents for it.
It's a healthy snack. I needed a
Just-
snack. We're in a grocery store.
Buy a whole
The
bundle.
world was my word. What do you want me to do?
Bushel?
What do you
They
want me to
bushel?
get? You want me to get an onion and then just chop it up on set, and that'll be my snack?
They have other snacks.
banana.
It's a grocery store.
So I'll buy a granola bar for $2.39. I wanted a piece of fruit.
Fair enough. Hey, Justin says, have you ever had Skyline chili? Justin, I'm glad you asked this question, sir, because we have Skyline chili here in the studio. Sean Kellerman refuses to eat this. I thought of a great segment idea where Sean and I eat Skyline chili while we're breaking down the Cincinnati football program. And he said,
Brought to you by Johnny on the Spot.
he said, absolutely not. You said no.
No, I don't want to. But also, look at this. This is not Skyline chili. This is just chili
No, it
in a
is Skyline
can.
chili.
That Skyline is the brand,
no,
and
we've-
Dan bought it online.
I
This
did.
is
I
just
bought it on-
chili. This is just regular chili.
Yeah,
I
but
think
it's
Skyline
you
chili
put
is
it on the
pastas involved.
Yeah, so I'll cook some pasta and I'll throw it on here and we can eat it while we're breaking down Cincinnati. Because everybody that I've ever met either says it's great or it's the worst garbage that they've ever put in their mouth. It's kind of like Malort with people in Chicago. Like
Malort is terrible.
Malort's
I had it
awful.
once and never will again.
Same. I've had it once, but I'm glad I did. And I think that might have been on my top 10 things I'll never do again.
Yeah,
potentially.
I mean, but you would do it if you were dared. You know,
Yeah.
a couple beers.
But
in there,
I bought 4 cans of Skyline chili. I'm going to eat probably all 4 because I don't want that money to go to waste. And if it's bad, it's bad. Whatever, it's fine. But I thought it'd be a great segment idea. Sean is too scared.
Hey,
He's a
I
coward.
will
He's a
watch you.
coward. He
I
won't eat it.
happily will watch you drink this chili and let me know how it
It's
is.
fine.
But I had a chance to go to Cincy last basketball season. Steve Kincaid was on the injured list with a hamstring injury, so I went and helped out with the Jayhawk Network broadcast.
The silent
but,
assassin, Steve Kincaid?
refused to have Skyline chili. Also, Fifth Third Arena is not something that rolls off the tongue.
Fifth Third
Arena. I think it's like what is Fifth Third? I think it's like a gas company or something.
I
But
don't
that's the name of the arena where the Bearcats play.
Fifth Third Arena.
Fifth Third. I got no clue, but it's. I got to find this out. Fifth Third Bank. It's bank.
All right, we'll
Fifth
move on.
Third.
But yes, we will try
Yeah.
Skyline chili on this radio show. I will try to slip it into Sean's water bottle or something. I'm going to get him to try it. I'll get him to try it, whether it's against his will or not. Hunter wants to know if you could pick one Chiefs starter to start on the other side of the ball for the rest of the season, who would you pick and what position would they switch to? Right off the bat, immediately, Isaiah Pacheco at linebacker.
I like it. I respect it. I got to take somebody on the defensive end to help out on offense. I mean, I have to.
Okay. Will you do like Trent McDuffie? Because if you switch them, then they won't be playing on the defensive side of the ball. That's why I think it's kind of killing 2 birds with 1 stone, feeding 2 birds with 1 scone, if you will. That Isaiah Pacheco no longer on the offense, good thing. Isaiah Pacheco on the defense, he's probably a better linebacker than he is running back. And he's a bad running back.
He is not a bad running back.
He's a bad running back.
10 carries for 45 yards last game.
It's not very good.
It's not bad. It's better than what Kareem Hunt did. We got to get him some help. I will say, if I'm taking somebody, I want to take, to your point, an average defender. So you can't really take Furious George. I don't know if you're going to take anybody up front. I don't know. I mean, Brian Cook's got some wheels to him. If we don't have Worthy,
I'd be okay with that.
I mean, maybe Jalen Watson can catch the football.
What about Nico Remigio?
You want Butker
in
running?
the secondary?
You want Butker running a halfback dive?
I'm out on him. I want him off the team.
You're great. You're like watching with the stereotypical.
I want Pacheco off the team too.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. You
I
just
like
want,
them.
want everybody off the team if they have a not fantastic
They're
game.
bad at their jobs.
Hey, appreciate that question, Hunter. Air for Ron. Time travel was just discovered, and the inventor chose both of us to go back in time and do a quick experiment. The inventor made it so that no matter what happens on your trip, you will not cause a butterfly effect. Your goal is to play one song and record how people react. The one who gets the best reaction will win $500,000. What time period would you choose? What song would you play? Oh my God.
He also added on this.
So how do you best reaction in terms of what?
So it's just like what the hell is even that? Also, he said the music artist of the song that you choose cannot be alive during the time that you visit. He said, for example, you can't go back to the 1940s and play an Elvis song because Elvis was still alive, and you can't go back to like the 1990s and play a Taylor Swift song because Taylor Swift was still alive then. So the artist.
So I can't do Party in the USA.
So, I mean, you can, but depends on what time.
Right.
What era.
I see. Okay. You've had some time to think about this, so you kick it off.
So I think. So Aaron, by the way, he texted me his answer. It was he wants to play swag surfing at a presidential inauguration in the 1800s. I think that's a great that might be the right answer.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Swag surfing is a fantastic one. I like maybe go like Toxic by Britney Spears in like 1950. 55.
I feel like that'd be a good reaction.
Yeah, because they're still pretty conservative back then, and they're like, what is it? And it has a sick the violin. I love Toxic.
Go-to song for everything.
It's a great song.
I have
Talking
no
Body
clue.
by Tove Lo in any era, really. It's just such a good song.
Yeah. Anything from 50 Cent at a presidential election in the 1800s, I think would be good. Yeah, just a little bit by 50 Cent. That's probably where I would go.
True. Maybe I'm Blue. I'm through.
Yeah, I'd call that Blue.
And
Ricky
I would go to the showing of Our American Cousin where Abraham Lincoln was shot. That's probably the right answer. Because I think that like John Wilkes Booth would be like, what is this song? I totally forgot why he was even here because this song is so great. And then Abraham Lincoln would have never got shot.
Wow, good thinking, man. To live a day in your head. Also, Air for Iran, to live a day in your head. That's impressive. A lot of non-sports questions today, which we're here for.
Love them.
You know, we never know what we're gonna get every week. Luke says, "Would you rather lose a hand of your choosing or lose all sense of taste and smell?"
3, 2, 1. Hand. Easy.
Yeah, I want to lose my left hand.
You and I are both in the same.
Dude,
like
being able to taste food is like. I mean, not the number. I mean, it's a top 5 reason to
live.
Yeah.
No, I'm with you.
Not number one.
You have
but
a daughter.
My daughter, my wife are number 1, but food is still top 5, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's close. It's close. Yeah. No, it's up there. Like like you lose one hand, hey, I got another one. That's fine. Like I can do stuff.
Yeah.
Plus it'd be a fun little it's a conversation starter, I guess. Because like if I can't taste or smell anything, people are like, oh, that's A, you can't prove it, and B, you're like, okay, that sucks.
Right.
With your hand, it's a conversation starter.
That's true.
Plus, you can get a cool prosthetic.
You don't need a conversation starter.
Prosthetic.
You're going to start a conversation no matter what.
That's true.
Piper's out there
Najee,
listening.
KU Najee, one of our favorites. He says, draft 5 KU football players each, but to play basketball. So from this season, I would say, because we've done this before,
right?
Where I drafted Owen Pieper-Gertis and Connor Tehan and James Sosinski.
Yeah.
So from this squad, you want to draft? You want to?
I think we just start naming them out. I'm taking Leroy Harris.
Yeah, that's a great pick. Yeah. I mean, he's like 6'6". He's lengthy.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. I'll stay on the defensive line. I'll go Dean Miller probably at that 4 or 5 spot. Probably. Yeah.
Give me give me one half of the law firm, Carson Brune.
Yeah. Good pick.
He's got some height as well.
Good pick. I'm going Cam Pickett as my point guard.
That's good. That's good. He's spunky. I'll take Manny Henderson.
Okay.
I mean, he's fast.
Yeah.
He can go up and get it. Yeah.
Plus, I think he'd be a good like 2-3 guy. Probably more of like a 3 and just he seems like he can pull up, but also put the ball on the ground, get to the hoop really fast. Jalen, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Athleticism's right there.
Born leader, natural leader.
And then give me Deshaun Hanukkah. I'm going back to the tight ends, man. How do I avoid
You have a
this?
tall team. That's good.
Yeah. I know who I'm going to point to.
You know what? Yeah. I'm Bengali Kamara. Why not? I'll put him at the 4, D Miller at 5.
Athletic.
Yeah.
My point guard running the show because he always seems to make the right decision. Finn Lappin. Give me Finn Lappin running point. Good ball control.
Good ball control. That's absolutely right.
Great Madison would be a good.
That's a good pick. KU Najee also has another one. He says, how close to BIFM's Frank Mason, if you don't know, 2016, 2017 stat line will Darren Peterson get? And he even gave us a stat line. So Frank Mason had 20.9 points per game, 5.2 assists per game, and 4.2 total rebounds per game. How close will Darren Peterson get to that? It's a very good question. I don't think DP goes over 20 this year because I think he's going to be running point. He's going to have to facilitate a little bit more. Frank Mason was able to take over, but Frank Mason also had more time to develop his game in college. I think Darren is really going to showcase his passing skills in this first year and probably, hopefully, only year. I'm saying hopefully because if he's not going to the NBA draft, something has gone horribly wrong. I don't think he gets over 20. I think he gets more assists, and I think he gets more rebounds because he's taller than Frank.
Yeah, I think he'll get more rebounds for sure. I mean, he's got, 7 inches on Frank Mason?
Easily,
something like that. But I don't know. I don't know how close he'll get.
I'll put him
I
at like
wouldn't
18.
be surprised, though, if there are going to be a lot of games where we're thinking, DP, it wasn't his best game. And then we look, man, he had 18 points.
Right. That's absolutely correct.
So, yeah, he's gonna score. He's going to fill it up.
Yeah.
And then last one from Greeny, Dan. What do we have here?
Yeah, he says, what's your white whale of trinkets for the desk? Isn't that great? That's a great question. So this is my favorite thing on the desk, by the way, right now. And I have a lot of great things on this desk. Man, what's something that we really need on the desk? I mean, we've got a lot of really good stuff.
Well, do you have your license plate? You do.
It's
from
right here.
Henry.
Yeah.
So you need that.
Maybe a little miniature statue of the NCAA championship trophy.
That would be good.
The basketball trophy.
That would be good
The piece
for
of
sure.
wood. That'd be great. Or maybe even a college football playoff.
Right.
Trophy.
We do like the particularly little ones.
The little
Those
ones are
good.
great.
Yeah.
The little ones are the miniatures are fun.
Yes, they're very, very cute.
Yeah, we got a lot of good stuff on
We
here.
got to get the Skyline chili off the desk, though.
No, I like the Skyline
We're
chili
good.
on there. Why?
Uh,
Look at that. I'm putting it right here.
No, that's no good. If we lose to Cincinnati, you have to drink that on Monday.
I was already planning on it
Oh,
anyway.
Okay. Well, there you go. I'm not going to do it, so don't even try. That's our KU Mailbag segment for today. Thanks for tuning in. After this, we are going to hear from a couple of KU soccer players, and then stick around. We're going to hear from KU football's Justice Finkley a little later in the show. Thanks for watching Rock Chalk Sports on KansasNation.com and listening to ESPN Kansas City.
Hey, this is Cole Ballard, and you're watching KansasNation.com.
Welcome back to Rock Chalk Sports on KansasNation.com with Dan Courtwright. I'm Sean Kellerman. Thanks for listening as well to ESPN Kansas City. A couple KU soccer players were made available to the media yesterday. It was Kate Langfelder and Jordan Felstad. Let's hear everything they said in advance of a huge weekend. They've got Baylor tomorrow night and then number 10 TCU on Sunday.
I guess I just wanted to start out by asking about that last match. What was it like playing a player down for more than half the match and still coming out with the win? Either of you.
You want to go ahead?
Sure.
Yeah.
It was pretty electric, honestly. Obviously, it's a difficult situation to be in, but I think as a team we did a great job just coming together, and it almost felt like we were a man up in some ways because we were just so unified and together, and we just grinded it out.
Sometimes when a team's a man down, it looks like everybody plays back. I never had that sense. It looked like you guys are spread out and still going to be aggressive and still try to move forward. How much do you practice that? Is that something that you do practice, being a man down?
I'd say in our team trainings, we train intensity a lot. So when we go into games, it honestly propels us to be able to do things like that.
I guess how exciting is it to be able to have a conference match at Rock Chalk Park? It's been a little while since your last home match.
Yeah, I mean, it's awesome to be back. Traveling's fun, but it also kind of takes a toll sometimes. So it's awesome to be back home and to be with the best fans, and we're excited to be back at Rock Chalk.
Kate, have you sensed a sort of, I guess, a rhythm with this team yet? We talked so much in the preseason about how each team's new and there's some still new faces and things like that. But do you feel like everybody's kind of settled into what they do, their roles, their spots, all that stuff? Has that arrived?
Yeah, absolutely. I think our team culture this year is something really special. I think everyone's in it for the right reasons and everyone has the same goal. We're all working not only for ourselves but for each other, and I think everyone's doing a really great job of just getting in and out like every single day, trying your best and working hard for each other.
Either of you again, I guess.
how do y'all deal with like increased expectations and increased pressure as you get further and further into the season without losing a game?
I feel like we don't really think about, oh, we're ranked this or this certain expectation. It's more of like, hey, what are we going to do today that's going to help us achieve our goal down the line? And then from there, just, hey, we show up for this game and then the next game.
For both of you, I mean, this is second go around, right?
Mm-hmm.
Last year, brand new. I think you both played plenty, but this is sort of, okay, we've been here now. How much do you feel that, and where do you feel that? Have you felt that from the first match of the season, or was that gradual still? Or I don't think either of you probably feels old yet, but are you trending that way? Does it feel like, hey, we've been around?
Yeah. Well, I think both physically, like our bodies kind of feel it, but other than that, I'd say we've honestly grown into our games, like as a team. It wasn't like, oh, right away we were gelled, but as it's continued, we've been able to find our sweet spots and stuff like that.
Sure. And Lexi was telling me the other day, like, it's hard, the style that Nate plays,
Mm-hmm.
the way you guys press and demand and all that, and sometimes the freshmen need to have some time to learn that. You guys had that time as freshmen. Are you seeing that now when you look at freshmen? I don't want you to call anybody out, but you look and go, oh, that used to be me. Wow, now I know that. Or anything like that, sort of as proof positive that you guys have kind of advanced and evolved?
I mean, honestly, I look at our freshmen, I'm like, wow, like they are killing it right from the start. I think they came in and just like made an immediate impact. But I do look back at, I don't know, film from last year, and I look at myself, I'm like, I've definitely grown in that area. I've definitely gotten better at doing this or helping the team in this way. So I can definitely see just growth and more comfort, like you were saying.
This was kind of a different question for both of you, but I think soccer, more than any of our sports here, brings out the youth teams, and you see all the little kids, that little boys and girls looking up to you like legends. How does that make you feel? Or do you feel any pressure or responsibility to all the kids that come out and watch the games?
When I look at these kids, I think about like when I was in their shoes, like how cool it would have been to be able to walk with a college player on the field. Because when I was their age, I just thought it was the biggest deal in the world. And then looking like in the place that I'm at now, I'm able to be a role model to these kids. Like, hey, you can make it if you work hard for it.
I don't know how many teams have had the same starting lineup for every game so far, but it makes it easier for TV people to know that those 11. What's the biggest upside of having that solid group, playing probably 18 total, but knowing those 11 together at the start of the match?
I think for our team, I can look at anyone on the field and know I trust them, and I know if I make a mistake, they're going to be there to cover for me, and I'll do the same for them. And I think we just have, like I was saying, great team chemistry, and honestly, anyone that steps onto the field, I trust them, and I know they're going to make an impact. And I think just our team in general does a great job of working all together and making an impact and fighting for each other.
Jordan, what about you?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
Yeah, just the benefit of having 11 starters together over the course of the season, with the upside of that, the value.
Yeah, like honestly, kind of how Kate said, like you just have trust in your teammate. You know exactly what they're going to do for you. You know when, hey, I'm not going to be able to make that play. Like my teammate's got my back, and then we can use that to propel through the game if something's not going our way.
Last time you guys saw TCU was the Big 12 championship game last year. What do you sort of remember about that game? What do you remember about TCU?
I mean, it was an awesome atmosphere. So TCU obviously is a great team, and they're going to be a great competitor. I feel like we've grown a lot since last year, even towards the end of the season last year. I feel like we've just grown in our identity and as a team and our culture. So I'm really excited for Sunday and for the game.
How would you describe the kind of the state of the union for soccer right now, going through the non-conference, undefeated, never happened, to be able to put that together? How tight are things right now in terms of reaching goals that you want to down the road still?
I'd say it kind of just goes back to, like it's great to be able to go undefeated, but each day it's a new goal. It's like, hey, this game, what are we going to do to win this game? And then, okay, we won that game. Now we move on. We don't stay in the past. And then how are we going to move, or how are we going to achieve in this game? And then hopefully by the end of our season, we'll be in a good spot and move on from there.
Any other questions?
KU soccer players Kate Langfelder and Jordan Felstad at the podium yesterday. Big weekend coming up for KU volleyball, KU soccer, KU football, all of it, but particularly for soccer as they get Baylor to open things up tomorrow, and we'll update you on rankings here regarding KU soccer as they're 7-0-2, longest unbeaten stretch to start a season in program history. KU volleyball gets ASU and Arizona at home as well, but soccer kicks it all off tomorrow night.
Yeah, and Baylor's a really good squad too. I mean, they're 5-1-2 right now. They just beat Texas Tech 1-0 in their Big 12 opener on September 19th. KU right now, they're in both national polls this week. They moved up to number 14 in the United Soccer Coaches poll and number 9 in the Top Drawer Soccer poll. The United Soccer's coaches poll, they ranked KU the highest since 2020 when the Jayhawks reached number 8 in their poll. This is the 4th straight week KU has been in the Top Drawer Soccer poll as well. So KU, some look at them as a top 10 team, others look at them as a top 15 team, obviously taking on Baylor. If KU beats Baylor, you have to think potentially that gets them in the top 10 in both of those polls. Now, granted, the polls don't come out until next week, but you're looking at that TCU game this coming weekend thinking, man, that is a top-tier matchup because TCU, they're a top 10 team as of right now, and Kansas beat them in the Big 12 championship last year. So you got to think they have a little bit of a chip on their shoulder as well coming here to Lawrence.
Yeah, well, it all starts with Baylor, of course, tomorrow night. You mentioned that Baylor 5-1-2. This is the 30th meeting all time between KU and Baylor in soccer. 13-13-3. So how about that? So this perhaps can decide it. The most recent match, however, a couple years ago ended in a draw 0-0. So exciting stuff for KU soccer. We mentioned Caroline Castens, Big 12 Defensive Player of the Week. That was announced earlier this week. 3rd of the Big 12 and tied for 24th in the country in assists with 5. Jillian Gregorski leads the team in shots on goal with 13, and Lexi Watts leads the Jayhawks as well with 5 goals and 11 points logged on the year. It's really been everybody. We talk a lot about Sophie Daw, the goalkeeper, as well. She's a special talent and just a sophomore. So a lot of coverage on KU soccer, KU volleyball as well ahead of a big weekend. After this, though, we're going back to the football side of things as defensive end Justice Finkley will we'll hear from him as he spoke to members of the media a little bit earlier in the week. After this, you're going to hear Justice Finkley. Thanks for watching KansasNation.com and listening to ESPN Kansas City.
This is Dale Highshaw, and you're watching KansasNation.com.
Welcome back to Rock Chalk Sports here at KansasNation.com and ESPN Kansas City. We're going to hear from KU defensive end Justice Finkley, one of 3 season-long captains for KU here shortly. But Dan, a couple MLB notes that I want to first point out and second get your thoughts on. First of all, Cleveland beat the Tigers yesterday. Both teams are 85-72, and Cleveland now has the tiebreaker. The Tigers were 15.5 games up on Cleveland a couple months ago, and they were 14 up on anybody in the AL Central. That's completely fallen apart. So with 5 games to go,
ask me if I feel bad.
5 games to go, the Tigers might blow the lead. What's worse, Dan, if you're a Detroit fan, they may not get in at all. They are holding now the 3rd wild card spot in the American League. They're a game up on Houston, who might sneak in. But the Tigers are in the middle of what people are calling not just a collapse, but an avalanche. That's what's going on. They're 26-37. They've got 2 more against Cleveland before the final series. Detroit goes to Fenway Park, but Jack Flaherty and Tanner Bybee on the mound today out by Lake Erie. But really interesting that they have completely blown this away. And
the Royals are officially
out. It just happened recently. They did win yesterday in LA against the Angels, a blowout victory. Bobby Witt Jr. a couple hits. He's having a great year again.
Randall Grichuk revenge game.
79-78, 79-78 is the Royals record. So obviously the hope now is you finish above 500. But some other things to keep an eye on with Pasquantino already reaching the 30-homer, 100-plus RBI plateau. There's a chance for Salvador Perez to do that. The Royals are the only team who have never had 2 players do that, 30 homers and 100-plus RBI. Salvi's been really hot, and word's kind of coming about that he is going to come back for another year in 2026. That would be exciting. But in the offseason, they got to focus on getting a bat. And the other thing that I wanted to get your thoughts on real quick before we throw it to Fink is the challenge system is now going to go into play. We saw this in the All-Star game. A pitcher, catcher, or batter after a ball or strike that they think was a strike or ball, if you will, they can challenge it. 2 challenges per game. If you win, then you get to keep your challenge, but it has to be challenged immediately after the pitch. Your thoughts on this?
I hate it.
Okay.
Absolutely hate it. Do you want to know why? Because these robots are taking good, hardworking American jobs away from umpires.
I saw a robot at Quick Trip vacuuming or mopping or something, and I was like, "You're not going to like this."
Yeah, no, I hate those clankers, as the kids call them.
This was coming though, right? I mean,
yeah,
you
it
felt
was
like
coming.
It was
It's gonna be annoying because you just know that pitchers and catchers, especially ones who are a little diva-y, are just gonna be calling for it all the time. It's gonna slow the game down too.
Yeah. Well, at least they only get 2. But interesting. More on that perhaps a little bit later in the week. Hey, let's hear from KU defensive end Justice Finkley earlier this week.
Sorsby on tape.
Say one more time.
What have you seen from Sorsby on tape?
Dual threat quarterback. I respect this game a lot. Definitely, just got to account for him in our defensive scheme.
Yeah, how difficult is it to play dual threat quarterback? I know you guys played Prabula a couple weeks ago.
Well, as a D-line, we really focus on just containing the pocket and keeping them, making them step up just so our linebackers come out of coverage and, do their thing. So playing a dual threat quarterback, just keeping him in the pocket, making sure he's not breaking out and scrambling for extra yardage.
How have you seen the growth of the defensive end group as a whole kind of to this point?
I think it's been great. And, with each passing game, we're only getting better and better. And then having the film to capitalize off that as well with the end of the week, the sky's the limit, to be honest. So I think, we've all been doing well, progressing well, and it's just been great for us, the end group.
Justin, we've seen you move across the front, playing different spots. What's that been like for you?
It's been great. I always think of myself as a chess piece, as a Swiss Army knife, just being able to be moved around in different positions and having the athleticism for that. Doing whatever I can to just help the defense win, help the team win. It's been great, and it's fun playing 3-tech and then having to drop out in coverage and cover it back or a tight end, and then also rushing off the edge. So it's been good.
I want to ask about that. Did you do much of playing kind of inside the tackles when you were in Texas?
Yes. So we would also. It's kind of our defense here and defense at Texas was mildly similar.
So when Coach McDonald was recruiting you, was that something they talked to you about? Was, hey, we see you in kind of this dual role, and how they go back explain it? Because it's not like there was tape from Kansas last year that they could use to explain to you.
Well, I think they just kind of drew it up for me and just told me that, they had clips of me doing the same thing in Texas and then comparing it to some jobs they had and ideas they had for me here. And it went together well. In my brain, it wasn't that hard because a lot of the stuff I already did at Texas. So here it just copy and paste, to be honest.
Just what do you think when you leave out, Alex comes in? What have you seen from Alex?
Man, straight dog, workhorse. Every time you never have to count on him not running to the ball in practice or not running to the ball in the game. He's that extra high motor guy and very detailed in his work. So I think, not only are we leaving Kansas in a great hands, I know those guys behind us are gonna elevate it even more.
Being at Texas, you've been there, you've seen other good facilities throughout the country. What do you think of the new facilities here and everything, how that stacks up?
It's been great. All the amenities are here for you to get better, not only as an athlete, but as a student off the field as well, with our tutoring and our academic advisors as well. And just like this morning, I came in early and used the walkthrough room. So that's also been a blessing to have the whole defense up on the screen, even have the 3D models up on the screen just to see and walk through your fits, walk through your covers. All of that's been great. So.
What's it like? You mentioned yourself as a chess piece. When you do so much different on defense, what's it like for you guys as a whole kind of defensive front unit collectively when you guys are all doing different stuff?
I think it's good. I think it's good also confusing the offense and also having, different players with different types of intangibles at different positions. I think, you unlock different types of, play, if that makes sense. Moving me into 3-tech, you have more speed in the 3-tech rather than just straight line power or just being stout in the gap, just cut the ball off. So I think it's been cool just having those different intangibles in different spots around the field.
Do you guys have a sense for when the offensive line of their team is getting confused or having...
Say one more time?
Do you guys sense, you or Alex or anyone that's out there, feel when the offensive line isn't necessarily picking everything up, or they're starting to get confused? Do you guys have a sense for that?
Yeah, so we're able to, a lot of the time, so we rotate. back and forth. We'll come back on the sideline, pick up the iPad and say, hey, like, I see that he's doing this, or, hey, this O-line is getting tired, or we think he's the rat. Just communicating different things that we see when we come off the field and then being able to apply and work off of it when we rotate back in. So, yeah.
Just this weekend, is the quarterback from Cincinnati, is he the biggest run threat that you guys have faced?
Not really sure. We've faced a lot of dual threat quarterbacks so far, but I think we're going to prepare for him the same like we prepared for the other dual threat quarterbacks that we played.
Being able to make a statement against West Virginia, do you feel that momentum coming into this Cincinnati game?
Yes, because like I said, with each passing game, we're only getting better, and having the film to look at the mistakes and the MEs that we made in the game, and being able to capitalize and take it to the field in practice during the week. We're only just getting and expounding on, what we've already done in the game. So I think we have a lot of momentum going into Cincinnati.
Thanks.
That's KU defensive end Justice Finkley earlier this week.
Yeah, and Justice Finkley has really come into his own, obviously a captain on this squad, and is only continuing to progress in his time here as a Jayhawk. So really excited for the future here for Justice Finkley.
Next couple days on Rock Chalk Sports here on KansasNation.com, you're going to hear from KU volleyball coach Matt Ulmer, KU soccer coach Nate Lee. Plus, we're going to have Bryce Foster audio. You're going to hear from offensive coordinator Jim Zabrowski. All sorts of coverage. Big weekend ahead for KU athletics. For Easton John and Elijah Schmidt running the operations today, and Dan Courtwright, I'm Sean Kellerman saying we'll catch you tomorrow for Rock Chalk Sports. Thanks for listening. ESPN Kansas City and watching KansasNation.com.